There it is.
Yep. Welcome everybody to season 2 of the Cemetery
Season 2.
Files.
Yep.
Yes. I'm your host Jay Hill with Kelly Schaefer.
And yep, right here with him.
So today we have a guest that hasn't showed up yet. We're waiting on him and see if he shows up. Um, VPR is the group.
And you did work
So
for them.
I did. I did some remote viewing for them.
So let's talk
And
about let's start off with talking about what you do for the remote viewing. I mean, this
okay.
is something not new for you,
No.
but you're kind of turning your focus on that
Hmm.
because you're good at it.
Right. Thank you for that. I really I'm really getting into more or less working with paranormal teams that need a medium or need a psychic to do their help them with their investigations, as in walkthroughs and
Mhm.
picking up information that they may have missed or they don't know about, so that they can validate that later.
Mhm.
I've had some success on that. I
I don't know of
main
any failures that you've had so far.
no, no. But I do like to put that disclaimer out there that
Yeah.
it's not a science. It just it is what it is. It happens when it
Mhm.
happens, and whenever I'm prompted to um, do these walkthroughs for people, I really basically I enjoy doing them and I enjoy helping people, and that's what it's about for me, is to help people and to help the paranormal field in any fashion, I should say.
Mhm.
So, I don't know.
I like the I like the
It's.
fact that you go in raw. I mean, you haven't done anything. You just
Hmm.
connect and then you start getting all the images that you get and all the
Yeah.
information that you get from the site.
Right. Yeah. That's the one thing I like to do
You
is
you
just
did it
go in
with me
there.
up at the Ditto House.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to talk a little bit about that and how I
Let's talk
helped you
about
with
that.
that.
Yeah, let's talk
Okay.
about that with the Ditto House. I mean, I thoroughly intended to do the walkthrough, but it was an interesting situation. First of all, I didn't know that I was going to be the first team in there.
Hmm.
So I just thought it was a nice, fun little weekend in a haunted place, but there
Hmm.
was other. So anyway, I said, "Hey, you there?" And you started getting images, and I think you were dead on with everything.
Hmm.
Um, you started talking about the woman's room, and
Hmm.
there were women in the room. Wasn't it a woman and two children?
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you had the energy of somebody that was there at the place that I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure we've identified who that was.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you had go left, go right. And yeah, it was exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, I saw that image at the top of the stairs before you even sent me any pictures. I don't even know what the inside of the house looks like. I do now,
Mm-mm.
but
You do now.
but I did before I even saw any pictures.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
part of what the remote viewing is. And yeah, I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed, trying to guide people into
Oh, I remember what the big
situations.
one was.
What's the
The
big one?
big one was where one of my team members got a disembodied sound of a. We figured it out that it was a pipe being tapped out on a desk,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah.
in that house they have the desk from General Sherman,
Oh wow.
and he had smoked pipes.
Hmm.
So we're thinking it's either him or it was the next owner of the desk
Hmm.
that did the pipe, and then as they had gotten that EVP, you got the sensation of cherry wood smoke,
Hmm.
like pipe
Yeah.
smoke.
Yeah. Shortly after that.
Hmm.
Yep. So yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff that I have that come to me
What's
in
the
different.
wildest place you've had?
Oh
Like the facial hair, by the way.
no,
Nice
thanks.
job.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow up for a little while. I don't know how long it'll last, just because it
Just
itches.
because you like change.
Yeah, yeah, I had to get changed. Part of this is because I'm just lazy. I, I still trim it. I still keep it halfway decent, so I don't let it go amok.
Yeah. So what was the wildest place you ever remoted into?
Mm, well, the one place I did remote was actually 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and when I had a paranormal team, one of my researchers at that time had contacted me and asked if I wanted to um, do an investigation at this country club.
Uh-huh.
And so she named it, and I said, okay. I said, contact them and try to find out if we can get in there. Well, not realizing that this was a private country club and all this other stuff. And so I was on my deck standing outside, and I remote viewed this place, and I saw the complete inside of this building.
Wow.
I saw the pillars in the dining area, and I saw the windows go that wrap around. And in the corner there was a gentleman standing in a brown suit, and I knew he was there. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of just chalked it up as in, okay, I saw that there is something there, and I kind of left it at that.
Yeah.
Later on, a couple years later, when I was switching jobs, I was going to go to work at another restaurant and as a grill chef, and I had this job, and I was starting that Saturday or that Monday, and everything was really good. I just had to go sign some paperwork, and that was it. Well, then I just got a phone call shortly after I was talking to another medium, a friend of mine, Susan Hill, and she was like, "I see you going someplace where there's Native Americans that are surrounded by you." And I'm like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I thought that was kind of odd. I was like, "All right." So after the phone call, I got a text from the lady that was hiring me at this other restaurant by the lake, and she said, "Well, the head chef didn't think that you would be a good fit, so thanks for your time." And I was like, yeah,
Oh.
I was like, "What?" I was like, and then I was kind of freaking out, going, "Okay, I was already a weekend of my um 2 week notice." And I'm like, "Oh, great." So then I
Oh.
was like going to scramble to find another job. Well, long story short, I found this ad for this country club,
Yeah.
and the country club itself um was looking for another grill chef.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I contacted the head chef, and then set up an interview, and went there and interviewed and talked to him and this and that.
Hmm.
And he liked what he heard, and he said, "Yeah, you could start such and such date." And I'm like, "Great." And at the end of the conversation, I'm standing verbatim to the very spot that I
Where you saw that?
remote
Wow.
viewed this room with
Yeah.
the pillars and the windows and the tables and all that stuff, you know, 3 years
Oh,
before.
interesting. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap. I mean, that was just a validation point for me. I'd never been in there my entire life, but I had seen
There's
it
just
when
stuff
I remote
there
viewed it.
there are things that happen like that that are just completely off the wall. And you can't even make that stuff up.
No, no, no. There was no way for me to know the inside of that because it was a private country club.
Right.
And number one, I don't go to country clubs. But number two,
Well,
having
you
a
do
private
now.
country,
No.
well, yeah, having a private country, going to a private country club, especially on the lake, and I know the clientele there now, and I know how
Right.
much it costs to be a member, and it's a nice, price tag, but it's a very private, very old
Yeah.
um, country club. And when I was told that I was going to be surrounded by Native American spirits and this and that, it was actually built on Native American land at the time.
Wow.
The people that named the lake, which the Indians, the Bigfoot
Yeah.
Indians, named it Bigfoot Lake before it was changed to Lake Geneva.
Wow.
So, yeah, so there's certain pools of water that are on the property that are sacred pools. You
Oh,
know,
nice.
they never, in the wintertime, they never freeze over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
They have
And,
some of that stuff. I've seen that kind of water before.
mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
constantly flowing, but it doesn't look like it's constantly flowing.
Right. Right. So, I mean, that was just probably one of the most memorable ones that I've had, um, that I can remember. I mean, I did one for Taryn Kerper for Paranormal Brew. I think I'm wearing her shirt. Yep, I am. So she was doing a investigation at a colonial house back in Gettysburg, I think it is,
Yeah.
and she asked me to remote view and to do a video file. So where we kind of went live, and I was doing it on my phone. I was just sitting outside doing it on my phone and telling her where to go and telling her what I saw and this and that, and all of her equipment would go off according to where I would tell her to go and ask
Oh,
questions and this and that.
interesting.
So yeah, so that whole thing, she was just kind of amazed by all that, and she was very thankful and this and that. And a lot of people don't realize that I do this a lot. Not a lot, but I mean I do it. Whenever I'm available or when somebody needs something. Our guest, who we're still waiting for.
Yep.
Actually, we did. I did a couple walkthroughs for him, and we had found quite a bit of stuff, and that's what we were wanting to talk about with him to validate some of that stuff because we had ties with Lincoln
Right.
and his funeral car, and you know some other things that went on there and what we had saw. And usually when I see certain things and I tell Kelly, she can usually confirm if she sees the same thing, and if she doesn't,
Hmm.
she will tell me I see something different. But that's
I see something
very
different, right?
very rarely do you see
But
something different.
sometimes what I see is just a different view of what you see. It's like
Hmm.
yesterday when we were working on that one.
Hmm.
We got contacted by a friend of mine that wanted us to do a remote view,
Oh
and I
yeah.
says I got to ask Jay because you're like the leader on that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
But you saw something and I saw something, but it was just a different view of what it was you were seeing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
once I mentioned what it was, then you confirmed with me that that's what we were seeing.
Right. Right.
We were
Yeah.
basically we had gotten the report that this woman at a new house, it was built in 2018, kept seeing a man in slacks and a button-down shirt. And she says dogs react to it, cats react to it. She doesn't feel unsafe or anything. And I'm like, good. So we tap in.
Hmm.
And the feeling that I instantly got the minute it was offered to us was it's a relative.
Right.
And then it's narrowing it down to whose relative is it?
Right.
And it's probably not the relative of the person that currently has the home that asked for the help. It
Yeah.
may be a relative of the people that were there before. Because
Hmm.
there's only been two owners in that house. There's no activity around that area that would even um, remotely cause somebody in the
Right.
slacks and his shirt to be on the
Right.
back patio.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so we left him with, yeah, you probably have something out there, but it's not going to hurt you. It's just a former relative of somebody. So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and it goes a little bit into deeper into some of that stuff, and I had seen a couple different things, not a funeral home, like assisted living type place for an older
right,
gentleman.
right,
I saw the military, and I saw, it was just kind of simpler things, but
yeah,
I usually when I get this type of information, before I used to get it where I would before I would go to bed at night, I would usually get um, images or places or faces or something like that, and I would have to kind of log them in my brain so that I remember them. Usually, if it's something that comes to me and then I don't remember it the next day, then it was just a thought. It was just random. But if
Hmm.
it's something that sticks with me that I can bring up later and pull up and say, "Oh, this is what this is." My one of my other investigators, a friend of mine that was on my old team, I so talked to him a lot, and he used to pull me in to do investigations, and sometimes I would get that information beforehand, and then the next day I would send him a message and say, "Are you working on something?" And he says, "Actually, I am." And then he'd be like, "So what do you got?" And I would give him the information that I would have received the night before,
Right.
and then he would tell me, you're on the right track, or yes, because I would always ask him if he wanted me to do investigation with him, that he wouldn't tell me anything.
Hmm.
I wanted to be able to do it, kind of freehand that way. And so um, there were a couple times where um, he wanted me to do an investigation, not about an hour from here, and I got this big brick building, and then when I looked down the street curved. I mean, like an S curve, and I was like,
Right.
So when we actually got there, to get to the building, you had to go down an S curve hill to get there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
that was the validation for that, and then there were other things there that actually there were some in-depth stories about that place that I was able to uncover. And yeah, so that was one of the times uh, that we investigated that I got that information. The other time was I kept seeing this date, couldn't
Hmm.
really make out the date, but it was on a brick and had writing on it, and it was on a brick. It was like on the side
Right.
of a wall, but that's all I saw. I
That's
couldn't
the
see.
cornerstone to a. That's the
Yeah, I
cornerstone to a building.
couldn't see the rest of it. And then when we went to investigate this other place, it came out to be on the side of an old school from the 1900s.
Oh, nice.
And it was weird because half of it was demolished, that was replaced in the 1950s, and the other half was the
Mhm.
original from the early 1900s. And I
Oh,
would
wow.
get conflicted feelings or images of kids wearing two different type time period clothing.
And that's why you got it,
Right,
was because of the.
right.
Yeah.
So,
What? What?
oh my goodness.
I don't know what. No, you need to go lay down. It's mommy's on the show right now. Told you she has to get in on every podcast now.
She has to because
Yeah,
she wants to be a
she's
star.
she wants to be a star, so she's gonna throw a little fit over here. Are you throwing a fit?
Aw,
Are you gonna throw a fit?
you're so pretty.
She says, "I know."
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, so I mean, there's been,
well, I think it's kind of. I find it very interesting that you and I have the same gift with regards to that.
hmm
When it comes to buildings and locations.
hmm
I mean, I was contacted by somebody in Eureka, Nevada to do they couldn't figure out why one spirit was found in other buildings.
hmm
And, I could see him in all of the buildings. So I knew that they were,
right,
everything was what they were saying. And
right, right,
then come to find out at one point, he owned all of those buildings.
right, right,
So
right.
he still believed himself to be an owner of all of those buildings. And
hmm
that's why he was in all of them.
hmm Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
also, I mean, it's taking what you see, and the thing that I'm enjoying right now is taking what you see, and I go in and I research it out and try to figure out, okay, is this valid?
right.
Is this a valid vision that you're having of the property?
Well, the case in point, the soldier in your backyard.
The soldier in my backyard. There
Right,
we go.
right.
Yeah.
That whole thing blew my mind when I kept
James
seeing.
Garner. That's what it was.
Yeah,
James Garner.
yeah. When I
Hmm.
kept getting the whole agricultural, was like it was bringing
Hmm.
it home to me, and
And I
finding out
think,
that
yeah, and
whole expose of that. You
yeah,
found
and
a story.
finding out that he was very much involved in the agricultural
hmm
world,
Right.
not only before the war but after the war as well.
And you're talking
And
about the Civil War in
yeah,
this
Civil
aspect.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had seen him back there when you asked me about it. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, and just to get all those names, I got the names, I got the agricultural, the importance. I kept saying he was an important man,
He was important.
and he was
His
very
kids were,
important.
yeah, his son was important too.
Right. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of people don't understand is like, why do we get that information, or why, you know, does that happen, or how does that happen? And my only answer to that
There he
is
is.
because of the fact that I am actually who I am, to be able to provide this information where some information may be lost. And that's another reason why, we do cemetery files, because of the fact that we want to be able to connect a lot of the spirits that have passed or either haven't crossed over or whatnot, um, with their gravestones and the location and how close
Hmm.
their locations was to where the cemetery is to where their house is,
Right.
and they want to be able to, or we want to be able to, kind of give that information to people so that they understand that, or the importance of this, or why they certain paranormal teams see this, or experience that. And it's kind of like finding the answers to all these locations is not only educational, but it's also something that it's where people who have unanswered questions about a certain location or a loved
Hmm.
one and something, they kind of want to know, they
Right.
have reasons why that they ask these questions. And so, and so I actually, am kind of billing myself as more as a um, paranormal walkthrough enthusiast, because
Right.
I love doing it. I love being able to help people and other teams. And the one thing that I want people to know is the fact that I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking for the fact that if there's an opportunity to help somebody in that fashion,
Exactly. Yeah.
then that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's where my intention is. That's where my heart lies. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
just think that a lot of the times where things have kind of gotten out of hand, and a lot of the paranormal stuff today is there's a lot of people that are just missing the point.
Right.
It's not about fame, it's not about money, it's not about, if that's what your goal is, you're in the wrong business. So
Well, if you want that goal, then you need to be in the entertainment business, not in the paranormal business.
right, entertainment, yeah, the paranormal is not going to make you rich.
Right.
I'll tell you right now.
Right.
But you know so having said that, there's been a lot of different um instances where people would want me to, you know do a walkthrough or something like that, and there's times where I don't get much of anything, and
No.
I'm honest with them. I'm not
Hmm.
going to make things up. I don't bullshit people. I be,
Right.
and we talked about a little bit about this, in our private conversations, is, you got to have some integrity,
Right.
especially when you're doing work, spiritual work, and this and that. Where does your integrity lie? And
Because I mean, especially with doing a walkthrough like that, I mean, you could make up anything you wanted,
and
which is
nobody
what they
and,
do
and
it.
and
eh,
nobody would know.
Which is what they do at a number of locations where
Hmm.
they go in. Oh, there's so and so haunting the place with no actual factual data to prove that that person was even there.
Right, right, and that is part of what we do, is we want to be able to validate that claim.
Hmm.
Validating the claim to the point where
Good or bad, I want to
good
validate
or
it.
good or bad. But on another
Hmm.
level of, are we say we're going to help these people? Does the spirit need help? Does the family need help? Does, I mean, there's so many different facets to doing what we do. And people, it's not cut and dry. There's some
No.
work that is involved in that, in the research, and to try to communicate, and to try to, you know ease the minds of certain people, living and deceased. And people
Yeah.
don't quite get that. It's there's more to the paranormal field and the spiritual field than a lot of people seem to realize. But this is why we have these conversations. This is why we do the show. This is why, we, try to help people as much as we can. And there are some people that have contacted us that are doing it, their intentions are ill-facted, and
Yes.
so we luckily for us, and we pretty much can see right through that, and
Mhm.
we remove ourselves from that situation because of the fact that their intention is not what our intentions are.
It's funny when both of us go, nope,
Nope.
at the
No.
same time.
Hmm. Yep.
Nope. always,
Yep.
it always cracks me up because it's within milliseconds of each other that we both go, nope.
There's my buddy Josh Hughes,
Hey,
who I was
Josh.
just mentioning him. And it's funny because I'll mention Josh because there was one time where Josh had contacted me about doing an investigation,
Yeah.
and it was there was something about it I couldn't put my finger on, and I did some spiritual research and heard this person's lineage goes back, and it wasn't a great lineage. I mean, it was cool. The farmhouse. He said, yeah, he knew exactly where I was going with this, and so yeah, it was just really I got a really weird vibe, and
Ooh, do I need to
because
research the farmhouse?
and Josh says that lady was nuts. Yeah, she had some bad, I guess, energy around her. And the one time that I had, and I don't mention this, I don't talk about this too much, but
Ooh, I'll do it. I'll research it, Josh.
yeah, oh no, yeah, it's probably not a great idea. Because of the fact that when I saw this woman, when I remote viewed this place, saw the front porch, and when she come out, there was something that was big and huge behind her that shouldn't be here, and that's all
Oh,
I'm gonna say.
okay.
And that's when I right before me and Josh were gonna go to the farmhouse because I was supposed to drive up to his house, and I contacted him and I said, you know what? I do not have a good feeling about this. And he was, felt the same way. And people who don't know, Josh is, congratulations on your baby. He's a daddy.
Baby! Yay!
And so Josh is coming into his gifts in his own way. And so he's was able to kind of piggyback off of what I was feeling. So we basically told that lady no, you know, and it was to the point where it was kind of scary. I mean, to be
Yeah,
honest with you,
yeah.
there's certain places that, like I said, if somebody were to ask me to go do this, it's like it's got to be
Well,
pretty overwhelming.
it's like what we were telling that gentleman in the podcast we were on last night. You know,
Hmm.
he asked us advice about going into cemeteries, and you and I both perked up at the same point. Protection.
Hmm. Yeah, you want to be able to protect. And a lot of people
You
don't
never
understand is that
know.
that white line of protection is pretty simple. And you want to be able to, if you believe in crystals, if you don't, that's fine. But crystals do help. Um, I keep obsidian in my pocket in my jacket all the time. And it helps. So there's a lot of people that don't quite understand that whole aspect of the protection and this and that. And it
Yeah.
also goes back to when you investigate, especially a cemetery. When you investigate, you want to have the good intentions of why, find out why you're there. Find out what is the reason why you're doing it. Find out the reason, to is it something that you want to research, or if there's somebody there that you want to investigate, or if there's some questions that you have, that's fine. But it has to be of pure intention, because if you go there and act like an ass.
Well, I was just thinking if you go there expecting to make a circus of the people that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's put this person on. Yeah, I know one person that does pretty much strictly a tour of one of the cemeteries that I saw, with the cemetery that I saw the full-bodied apparition at.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wants to go in there and make a circus of the people that are there,
Mm-hmm.
and not tell their stories the way the stories need to be told. I don't think there's a single true story down there. He's even using my full-bodied apparition story right now and twisting that
Yeah,
around.
there's people out there,
No, we're
and it
getting
goes.
back, that goes back to the discussion that we were having about paranormal integrity.
That goes back to integrity, right? Right.
Yep.
But you know, the one thing that I will tell people, especially people listening to this, if this is something that you're into, if you're into researching the paranormal, or you have gifts and you want to know more information, um, we will have shows about that. We're going to be
We're going to be
having other
expanding.
topics, expanding the cemetery files
Yeah.
to a couple different episodes where we are strictly talking about spiritual elements and how we can help people and how people can learn a little bit more about certain things. We are not licensed therapists. We are not,
No, we're
we
just people
don't,
who we're people who have
we're,
experienced this, and
right.
we're going to try and shed light on some issues that we find as mediums
Hmm.
and as researchers
Hmm.
and paranormal investigators. We're going to try and find a voice for that.
Hmm.
And we want to do this in a way that's respectful. We want to do it in a way that's helpful
Hmm.
because we know there's a lot of people that are coming in that are gifts and they really don't know what to do with them.
Right.
And they don't know
Right.
how to react to them. They don't know, oh my God, am I going crazy? Am I not going crazy?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, they don't.
Yes.
So we're going to have a lot of discussions on that spiritual side of
Hmm.
uh, the paranormal.
Right, right. And that is why we kind of wanted to expand a little bit more, just because, we could talk about the paranormal all day, but there's other things that we can add and filter in there that can actually help people and discuss and start a discussion on something if they have a question in the chats or whatever that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want to, or you could
Heck, we
send
might
us
even have
send us an
guests or
email.
something. Yeah.
Right, yeah, you could send us
You
an
want to
email.
talk about something? Let's talk about it.
Right. So, and I will say though, too, because of that, that I really don't do too many investigations, physical investigations anymore, just because of the fact that I'm always busy doing other things. But I'm not opposed to it. I do not investigate private homes. That's shit. That Kelly does that. I don't do that. I've had a couple bad experiences with them, and I just feel that my gifts are better used for, public buildings and land and certain locations and things like that. But
Private
I'm
places have a lot of weird energy to them.
right.
They
So,
not only have the current people there, but you also
mhm,
have anybody that's been there before coming through. It's
right,
weird energy in a private home.
right, and it's not that I won't do remote viewing for or
You'll do it.
walkthroughs
Yeah.
for homes or whatever, but physically, I will not go into somebody's home. I just
Right.
the energy is kind of just a little too odd for me at times because I absorb and I sense everything around me, all the time. I mean, I can walk into a building within a matter of seconds, nanoseconds, and all of a sudden I've got depression, I've got sadness, I've got anger, I've got, you know what I mean? And
You
that's
can't deal with all those emotions. That's the thing.
right. I deal with those on a daily basis. You know
And
what I
you don't
mean?
want any more loaded onto you. Yeah. You don't want ones that aren't
No,
yours.
no. So I try what I'm able to do. Right. So if I can do that from afar, do that. I've also done where I can do a walkthrough in
Mhm.
person too, but nobody really seems to want to tap me out for that. And I'm in the Wisconsin area. I'm just an hour north of Chicago. So anybody listening to this, and if you ever need somebody that needs to do a psychic walkthrough for an investigation for a paranormal team, you just hit me up, send me an email. You can find me on,
Or
or
keep going. Well,
you
I
can
was going to
find me,
say, or
yeah, you can find me on Studio Six Media Productions, or you can find me on same thing, Studio Six Media Productions on Twitter and yeah, TikTok. You can find me all there, and if you have any questions, you can just send me a message or send me, you know,
and we can do it here in Tennessee too, because I can go to the location, Tennessee and Kentucky, around in
yes,
there. I can go to
yes,
the location. You can tap in through me.
right, right. And then if Kelly needs my help, then all she has to do is just call me on the phone,
Yeah,
you know, and that's how we kind of do it. So,
yeah.
and this is something that would have been really good for the paranormal teams back when COVID was going on,
Oh, yeah, right.
you know. Yeah, but so yeah, it's just we
So, are our direction this year is pretty much, or this season is pretty much, we're going to focus on historic hauntings.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to focus on proving and disproving the historic haunt,
Mm-hmm.
or at least discussing this historic haunt. But we're also
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about what it takes to actually bring your gifts out into the forefront and to be comfortable with them, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole issue of being a medium in this muggle world, I guess,
Right.
is the best way to
And
put it.
being a medium, or being a sensitive, or being
Clairvoyant.
clairvoyant, I mean, there's a there's a vast difference of a lot of different things. And I had a mentor. I had somebody that taught me the ins and outs of it, and I did it, and I took a class and classes, and she worked with me one on one. And so, yeah, so you need that support system. you know
Mhm.
you're not crazy, you're not nuts. If it's
No.
something that you feel in your heart, and that your intentions are to explore this, or that you're curious about it, it doesn't hurt to ask somebody that's in that field.
Right.
Surround yourself with that positivity. So surround yourself with that white light, I guess I should say, that can just help guide you. I am a child of God, and I believe in God. I believe in the Creator. I believe in Christ. I believe in the universe. All these things are connected.
Right.
And so, there's so many misconceptions on a lot of different things when it comes to spirituality, that a lot of it is social driven. A
Right.
lot of it has to do with just the straight media, or this and that. And it's just, you got to be true to yourself. Once you're true to yourself, and once you realize that, hey, I can do this for myself, I believe in myself. And that's what a lot of it is believing in who you are is the key. I deal with my issues of depression and sadness all the time, and I have to keep pushing forward through that mud and muck to get to a place of normalcy. I mean,
Right.
this has been my whole life, but I've always had that in me to be able to help people. So, don't be afraid to contact us or to reach out, you know. And there's other things that we're working on in the future that are going to bring a
Mhm.
little bit more light on the history. And when we get
Mhm.
more of that down the road, put together, then we'll bring that to you. And but the
Hopefully
big
within the next month we're going to have that put together.
Yeah, hopefully in next month,
Yeah.
and then where we'll be able to expand our reaches a little bit more. I'm working on a campaign for a documentary for connecting the history of the Old West, and hauntings, and stories of certain popular figures in the Old West, that
Right.
some I still believe are here, that I know are here still, spiritually speaking. But
Like
there's
Mr. Earp.
Mr. Earp. Mr. Earp is actually crossed. It's Doc Holliday who has
Doc
not.
Holliday. Okay. Doc
Yep.
Holliday. Okay.
So yeah, that is one of the first interviews I'm going to try to do at his grave, and I really am looking forward to it.
Where's his grave at?
So in Colorado,
Okay. Cool.
um, I don't
The
exactly
cemetery
quite
files on the
know.
road.
That would be cool.
Wouldn't that be
We would
cool?
definitely.
We could go from
That would be
cemetery to
very
cemetery. Fuck, that'd be so
right.
funny. We'd
That
have
that would
fun
be
doing that.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we would definitely need
There
some
we go.
funding for
That's our
that.
trip for this year. We'll just do the cemetery files
Right,
on the road. Yeah.
right.
And we'll investigate all the
Yeah,
way to the West Coast and then back again.
there you go. That sounds
There's
like
a
a plan to
month out of
me.
our days.
Right, right.
Let's win the lottery.
Yeah, I keep saying that that's too easy. So, but yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that
so
would be
yeah,
fun.
that documentary is supposed to be up and running here soon. That campaign, I should say. I had tried the campaign before, it didn't quite go the way I wanted it to, so I have to kind of revamp the whole thing. There's a
And
couple
you're
other
working with
people.
somebody on that, that
There's somebody else that is having quite a bit of luck, or actually are very fortunate with their funding for their movies, and so um, I'm going to probably have a conversation with that person, give me some tips, and try to get some things put together. But
It's
so
definitely an opportunity to tell stories of the dead.
right, and that is basically where we're at too. Is the fact that there's a lot of history that has not been spoken.
No.
A lot of it has just been kind of swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Things that probably should have been discussed or talked about. And there's some people out there that saying, "What's all the purpose of this?" Well, purpose is just the information and the knowledge, and somebody can take that information and share it with somebody else who can probably put it into use for something that they believe in or something that they want to try to do. And we're all connected, so we all want to kind of just you know keep that connection, and you know
Yeah.
it's just it's a way for me to explore a passion that I have, and Kelly has the same thing of history and discovering that history and wanting to be able to find out some truths about some things, and yeah, it's just so there's quite a few things that are going to be transpiring in the next few months, and we're looking forward to um having a few people on here and there. And we also like to announce too that Bree Hollingshed from Paranormal Road Tripping with Bree,
Yep.
she's part of Studio Six Media Productions now.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll be hopefully having
And
her on, as well as doing some investigations. She's doing a lot of good work.
she's helping us with one of our projects.
Yes, and she's helping us with one of our big projects too.
She's the third to our project
Yes, and so
because she
you
has
know
a love of history as well.
right. So looking at her stuff, Bree Hollingshed, you can find her Paranormal Road Tripping with Bree on TikTok, and as well as Facebook and Instagram. And she's also, her boyfriend is Nick with Old World Paranormal Podcast, and they
Right.
do their investigations together sometimes, and they usually go live and this and that. So it's a really good show.
I think they started their own. I think they started their own when they're out there together. I can't remember what they're
They
calling it.
they're calling it Be Like Brick.
Be like Brick. I think it was
Yeah,
Brick. Yeah.
I think it was
Be like
Brick.
Brick.
Yeah,
Because it was their names joined together. Yeah. Be
yeah,
like Brick.
Bree and Nick. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so you
The
want to
Brick.
probably
The
the Brick.
paranormal Brick.
Yeah, so you want to check them out too, and Old World Paranormal as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of great podcasts that are coming out that are out now, and this and that. So we want to be able to, we show the love and support of other teams, and you know the one thing that I do want to touch on also is the fact that Paranormal Triangle with me and
Yes.
Kelly and David Taylor
David
from
Taylor.
Our Haunted Lives on
Our Haunted
Paraflix.
Lives. Yeah.
Yeah, we have another show coming up soon, hopefully. But yeah, it's an audio file. You can go listen to it anywhere you get your
Yes.
podcast. It's the
You and I
only,
were
really
both.
the only one
It's the
I've
only
listened
one I'll
to.
listen to, and
Yeah,
I even did the show, so it's like even when I'm listening to it, you can hear all of the energy that's there, and
right.
it's so fascinating.
There's been a couple of them that I listened to that I was at work and I had my earbuds in and I was laughing my ass off because it
Mhm.
was funny and I
It
was
was
there,
great. It
so
was great.
it's almost like listening to it for the first time, but it's yeah. So there's
I'm hoping that we start listening to Cemetery Files too once we get this all
right,
going and
right.
up
And
and
not
running.
not to say anything against the
Today kind of
Cemetery
threw us
Files,
off a little bit.
but I mean Cemetery Files has its own energy,
Yeah.
so yeah. But with the Paranormal Triangle there's moments where it's serious and there's moments that it's funny,
Uh-huh.
more so
But
funny.
we do tackle some really great
Yeah,
topics.
we really do.
Mhm.
I like Paranormal in Hollywood. That was a really good one.
That was a good one.
That was
Yeah.
really good. We did UFOs that one time. So
Yeah.
there's so many that ideas that we have for that show, and we're looking forward to it, continuing on with
Mhm.
that. And and even with this one, I mean, this is a video platform, but you could still find it on any audio platform where you get your
Right.
podcast too. So, and it'll be under Studio Six Media Productions. So, I've got
And
a couple
it's
shows.
only a visual, so we can show pictures.
Right, right. So,
Because we talked about making it just an audio file this year.
right, right. So yeah, there's been a lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
So, uh, maybe our guest forgot. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or something happened.
Do we reveal the stuff that we found, or
No, we can wait. We can
we
wait.
can
We'll
wait?
have him
Okay.
on. Yeah,
We'll
we'll
wait. All
wait.
right. All right.
Yeah. But
I'll close my research book then.
okay. Yeah. So if you want, we can talk a little bit about some funny moments. Let's talk about some funny moments in paranormal from last year.
Okay.
So,
Who? Which ones?
any that you've experienced that you
Paranormal on the show here or
eh,
paranormal in life?
in life.
Oh, wow. Any funny ones? Hmm. Oh, well, no, I don't think I can tell that story. It was kind of paranormal, but yeah, I don't think I can tell that story. No,
Okay.
there was a situation where somebody was trying to hit on somebody else, and I let them know that I was a witch, and they said, "Oh my God, I just dropped my water into my lap," and I went, they went, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends on where it landed." And yeah, so it was my ancestors protecting me from a jackass.
Right,
But
right.
it's the weird things like that 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 happen to us that we don't we don't see as being paranormal. It's just something that happens to us all the time. But it
Hmm.
doesn't happen to everybody, which is why it makes it paranormal.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's little things that don't happen to other people. It's like that doesn't, and I don't have you don't find gifts of things that have significance laying in the pathway for you. Like the the feathers the crows would leave me as I was trying to make a decision one time. I mean, they
right, right.
seriously left the. I should have put that one in the book.
Yeah.
The crows left a feather for me every morning on my way into work, and I took a very specific route into work. It wasn't one that anybody else took, and every day there was a feather. And so
Hmm.
I'd get the feather and I'd collect the feather, and, I'd torment myself with my decision. And then the day that I had made the decision, the next morning, there were 3 feathers left for me in a fan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And if any,
that's
yeah,
what makes up my smudging wand.
right.
I
So,
created my
so
smudging wand from it.
what a lot of people don't realize too is that even though there's funny moments that happen in the paranormal, and there's funny moments that happen every day, but I mean, it's just like part of that energy is to be positive, and part of that energy is to, take some of
You gotta
those
wait.
downtrodden signs of stress or whatever and try to turn them around, and that's why when we talk and we have our phone conversations, or even when we do the paranormal triangle, we're
Mhm.
expressing the joy of just having a good conversation. And
Right.
you know and your dog is not happy.
No, she's not. I think she needs to go outside. So I'm gonna bebop out there real quick. Keep talking because I can hear you.
Okay.
Come on.
So another thing too is the fact that we've been doing this show now going on close to a year, and it seems like we've been doing it on for a long time. But there's been moments where we've done investigations live on cemetery files, and had some good results and different things that have happened. But showing people the different realms or different areas of doing podcasting and doing investigations and speaking with great people, and you
Yeah.
get to make new friends, and this and that. So I mean, there's a lot of upside to doing what we do, and
Yeah.
you know and that's the one thing that being on other people's podcasts, we love being on other people's podcasts. I mean, we were on NSPS
NSPS.
TV, paranormal podcast last night,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed the time, and the host was awesome, and there were certain messages or certain questions in there that we tried to direct to who needed to hear it or whatever, and you know, communication between the paranormal field and everybody else is, during the podcast or whatever is important, because the fact that a lot of people don't realize that it's not just interviewing somebody, but it's actually getting to know that person that's
Right.
on the show,
Right.
and you didn't hear, oh, I didn't hear that person, or I didn't know what they did, and this and that. So once you get to that point of learning, about all these people that we've
It's
had,
learning about
you
the
know,
people in the community.
hmm
I mean, this is a community. It's a
right.
community of people that have, we have weird beliefs, we have weird experiences, we have, we were the outcasts in high school.
hmm
Um, so, it is a community, and quite frankly, I've not been happier than I am right now in this community.
hmm
Any place else wouldn't I didn't fit.
Right,
And
right,
I couldn't push myself into a round peg hole when, I'm just big old triangle.
right, right.
But I mean, that's the one thing about that we talked about was helping the community grow and connect
hmm
with the show. So
Yeah, yeah. It's there's a lot to be said for people in the paranormal field, and we know quite a few, and we're friends with quite a few, and there's
mhm,
some people that we have yet to meet, and this and that. But
lots of people we
it's,
have yet to meet.
yeah, right.
Lots
You
of
know,
people.
so um, there's a paranormal group that I'm friends with. I had them on my other show once called Chasing Paranormal, and they are on the Spirit Realm Network, and they have quite a few things on that network itself. And if you get a chance, and I'll give a shout out to them, because Brady and Lexi are good friends of mine, and I really think that they deserve it, and they've got some really good content, and to check them out. You
Right.
can find them all over, Facebook or whatever. Find them on the Spirit Realm Network, and yeah, so there's some great teams like that are out there that are just doing it the way they need. They're doing it their way, and this is
Right.
what we're doing our way.
Right.
You know,
We're not trying
so
to we're gonna do it the way we want to do it, and what makes us happy.
hmm right.
We're not going to be we're probably not going to have, I don't know, we're not going to have very many guests like we did last year.
No.
Um we're probably going to just reach out. We're going to do the historic stuff. We're going to do the location uh research and downloading that. We might have some location owners on to talk
hmm
about their activity. So
hmm
if you're a location owner and you want to talk about your activity and see what's going on, we're more than happy to help you with that.
hmm
And I can do research for you. Most of the time, I can do it free of charge, no problem at all. But
hmm
it's like hard costs if I have to pull any records or anything like that. It's just reimbursement for cost. But
right. Right.
because I love doing it,
hmm
I dearly love doing research.
hmm hmm
And sometimes I can come up with things nobody knew,
right. Right. Right.
which gets fun.
So evident our guest isn't going to show up, so that's fine. So
Yeah,
what we'll do
that's
is
fine.
we'll end the show. You know, we have another show coming up for Paranormal Triangle soon, so be on the lookout for that,
Yep.
as well as the Cemetery Files. We do it on Mondays like this, and we'll kind of go from there. But I want to thank everybody who tuned in.
Wait, hold on. Hold
Huh,
on.
what?
The book comes out in
Oh
6
yeah.
days.
All right.
6 days.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hardback, softback, and Kindle. We're working on the audiobook.
Right. So
I'm
that
probably
is
going to
the
have Jim do the read on the audiobook.
okay. So the Paranormal Pages by Kelly Schaefer. It's going to be
K.A.
her
Schaefer.
her K.A. Schaefer, her first book. So you can
Yep.
check that out in 6 days when it comes out.
February
And
11th.
we're looking forward to that. And yeah, so want to thank everybody. You can find all of us on all social media.
JK47 Paranormal Investigations just came in.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
hey.
everyone. Yeah. So it's kind of a shorter show, but we want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. So
And stay tuned because we're going to make this. It's going to be cool. This year is going to be really, really cool.
This year's gonna be cool. So yeah. So we want to thank everybody, and I want to thank my host.
You're my pleasure. I
Yeah.
want to thank you for having the stream here and
Yeah.
pulling me in. Oh,
Yeah.
funny things from last year would have been you and I getting together. You and I forming this partnership here.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just freaky weird.
It was weird, but it's worked.
But it's worked quite well. Yeah.
So,
you're my little brother that my mother never had.
All right.
Yep.
I'll take it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Everybody have a great